these institutions, these organizations, these hospitals, they do not want to put the funding into adequate staffing. That's the real tea right there. I've been punched. I've been spit at. What kind of nonsense is that? These are my own personal views and opinions, okay? Just gotta get that out there in case somebody wants to, do rubbish. Hello, if you've never seen me before, hi, my name is Yuki, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, yeah. Hey guys, for this video, I wanted to give you some tea regarding I wouldn't say the healthcare system, but nursing as a field. As some of you may know, I am a registered nurse. I have my Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and I get a lot of messages from you guys asking me to do more nursing videos, asking for advice either about nursing school or advice about the workforce as it pertains to nursing as a career. So I just figured, why not film a video talking about things that I wish I had known when I was in nursing school. If I had known these things then, it probably would have prepared me a little better for the nursing field, or maybe would have decreased some anxieties that I had regarding providing patient care. Real quick, if you want to know how I got this look right here, go ahead and click the little eye right up there, and you can check that out after you watch this video though, because we have to keep it consistent. Hearing it from someone else, you don't have to know everything. When you're a new grad especially, it's very nerve-wracking going into the clinical setting and having your first patient on your own as a working nurse. You don't have to know everything. Usually a healthcare organization or system will have its own database of I know this is starting off really sounding sciencey, but we'll get to the real tea. Just hang on with me here. Just hang in there. So most healthcare systems have these databases you can reference as far as treatment guidelines, pharmacology, and nursing implications for either certain procedures or medications, whatever the case is. So don't beat yourself up if you don't know everything, and don't beat yourself up if you don't remember everything. There's no such thing as stupid questions. I know a lot of people say that, but when it comes to actually answering your questions, what my experience was and what the experience was for other people that I know, starting out, and not even starting out, even a few years into your nursing experience, there are people who will play like they're okay with you asking any and all questions. But when you finally ask a question, they give you this condescending vibe about them. Even if it's not a condescending vibe, it'll be a condescending answer, or their body language just changes to where they're like, oh, you should know that. No, you don't always have to know that. Now, there are some basic principles depending on your clinical setting and your level of experience that, you should be aware of. But if you don't practice something for a while, it slips. It's okay. And that's why you should ask questions, because you do not want to risk, you do not want to risk your license because of pride or because of some foolish coworker. One foolish idiot like that wants to just frustrate your life. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Ask questions, and if it's absolutely necessary that you ask it in front of your patient, do it in a way that doesn't compromise your patient's trust in you. For example, you're not going to insert a nasogastric tube into someone's left nostril and be asking your preceptor oh, so what happens if it gets stuck? As a patient, I'd be like, you are not sticking that into my nostril. Nope, not doing it. It's very necessary to know how to ask questions depending on the setting. If you're in front of your patient, be cognizant of how you're phrasing the question if it's absolutely necessary that you ask it in that moment. However, if you're alone with your preceptor or someone you trust or someone of authority that you can feel comfortable asking a question to, if you're in private, go ahead and ask and be free. I'm not saying be sneaky about asking when you're in front of your patient. As a lot of you will know, you need to make sure that you have a certain level of rapport and trust with your patient in order for them to feel comfortable getting care from you, and in order for them to have faith in your skill set. Because it's not beneficial to anyone for your patient to, one, be sick, two, having to deal with your lack of confidence in whatever it is that you're doing. Even if you don't really have confidence in doing it, when you walk into that room, act like you know what you're doing, because I feel like it really puts the patient at ease. And once a patient is at ease, you will be at ease more anyway. I've personally experienced things with like preceptors or coworkers or whatever, where I've asked a question and the response I get back and the way the response is put is just like off-putting. Like, ew, who do you think you are? No matter how smart you are, no matter how much knowledge you have, you started off not knowing anything. So I think it's necessary to remember that in order to remain humble and not like smirk or, scoff at someone when they ask you a question that you feel is basic. You know what I mean? Even if you hear a question that's like, "Ooh, girl, you sure? You really sure this is the right field for you?" Remember, I started out knowing absolutely nothing. I would want someone to extend a certain level of grace to me that I wish I had in a certain scenario. Don't get me wrong, I've had wonderful preceptors. I've also had wonderful coworkers as well. But every now and then you get that one that's just like, sis, maybe you should go home and take a rest because you're doing a lot right now. Whatever temporary discomfort you feel in that moment of asking a question that you feel uncomfortable asking, it's nothing compared to the amount of stress and frustration and worry that will cloud you and cloud your mind if you're ever put in a situation where your license is at stake or your reputation is at stake. I hear when people are like, "Oh, am I teaching a class?" Yes, you are actually. One of your roles as a nurse is to educate. That doesn't just mean educating patients and families. That also means educating your colleagues. But hey, what do I know? I just do YouTube. So moving on, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. One of the doctors came up to me and was making all types of demands left and right. And I was like, yo, I'm swamped right now. And this doctor has a very condescending aura to them. Not even aura, just when they open their mouth, they're very condescending. In that moment, I knew if I stayed any longer to listen to that, I would go off. So I just took myself and walked away. Granted, I walked away mid-sentence, and that's not something that I do. I was raised to be respectful, respect your elders and all that stuff, but God, that shift, the way it was doing me, and then the way the doctor's words were just like, nah, I had enough. Mid-sentence as they were talking, I walked off. Nurses and doctors, it's a symbiotic relationship. We need each other. But I feel like a lot of nurses, naturally, I think we're kind of almost conditioned to be like, "Oh, yes, doctor. Okay, doctor. Yes, doctor. Sure, doctor. Anything you say, doctor." No. I will say that is changing. And that's also where critical thinking comes in as far as, double checking the doctor's orders and be like, "Yo, you sure you want that?" But just standing up for yourself in general, not just with doctors, but also with nurses and colleagues and other healthcare workers. Because as a new grad, you're like, "Oh, let me not ruffle any feathers. Let me just chill and be on my own." But the more experience you get, the more confident you'll get. And sometimes it's necessary to stand your ground and stand up for yourself from the get-go. Because I noticed that a lot of bullies, this video is not meant to be negative at all. I'm just giving you the real truth. There are a whole lot of wonderful, positive things about nursing, but I want to tell you guys the things that I wish someone had told me. Okay, so there are a lot of bullies, and what I noticed repeatedly was that they will keep bugging you. They will keep hitting those nerves that you hate if you allow them to. But once you stand your ground and be like, "Hey, I don't like how you spoke to me regarding that. I feel like you should have addressed me in a different way." Once you're stern, not rude, but once you're stern and you create boundaries, all of a sudden they behave. It's the weirdest thing. You would think like they would know that from the get-go, but I guess a few times you're going to have to take some punches here and there. You have to pick your battles, because being a new grad, being a new nurse, heck, being an experienced nurse. It can get really stressful, and I say pick your battles because you don't exactly know just how much stress you're putting on your body by being in this profession until it starts to accumulate. Whether it's doctors being angry with you or supervisors, nitpicking at your work, or it's colleagues, being snappy at you not feeling like you have enough help, and, just working your body into the ground essentially, and just giving 200%, not feeling like you're getting the appreciation that comes with that level of work. As far as the stress goes, take care of yourself. Please, 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 I beg of you. When it comes to nurses eating their young, I will say it's hard not to take it personal. And a lot of times you will take it personal. So I hate when people say don't take it personal, because it's like, I'm not a robot, I'm a human being. Try to remember that it's often a reflection of them than it is of you. No tea, no shade, no tree, but it's been my experience that usually nurses who eat their young are nurses who are more experienced and maybe want to capitalize on that sense of power that they have, or that they feel they have, and use it to suppress nurses who are less experienced. And I'm not saying every experienced nurse is like that. I know a lot of experienced nurses who are wonderful, absolutely awesome, and are so willing to teach less experienced nurses and just willing to be a light, essentially. But I've also encountered experienced nurses who are vultures. That's not to scare you. It's simply just the reality of being in the workforce in general. This is not exclusive to nursing. The best way I feel to deal with those people is to limit interaction as much as possible. If one of them happens to be a preceptor, pray. Pray and try not to be too hard on yourself. Vent. Make sure that you have someone that you can vent to, whether you feel as if someone is being incredibly unfair to you or condescending or whatever the case is. It's best to have someone who understands and has that same experience. I find that it's really comforting to go to maybe someone you graduated with, or if you're in nursing school, someone who's in your same class who you feel comfortable with. It's really comforting having someone who's in that same position as you, because they're able to really look at it from your side of things. I feel like when you're venting to someone who maybe doesn't have that same experience being a new grad or being in nursing school and dealing with those specific stressors, they may empathize with you, but they may not understand the full scope of what's going on. Knowing what I know now, I definitely feel as if nursing school does not emphasize self-care enough. Get you a gait analysis and invest in some good quality shoes. Good quality shoes. Those Nike free runs, trash. Absolute trash. Trash. Basura. Your feet hitting those tile floors hard, constantly, for 8 hours, 12 hours. You're running from this room, running from that room. You're gowning up, you're donning, you're doffing. So a lot of nurses that I know have hip issues or leg issues or foot issues. Achilles tendonitis is real. Plantar fasciitis is real. Very real. Prevent it while you can. Invest in some good quality shoes. Not some shoes that just cost a lot because of the brand. No. Just go somewhere, maybe even get some recommendations from other nurses if you can, and just make sure that you have good shoes, good orthotics if you need them, and it'll make your life so much better. It's weird to me how we tell our patients to take care of themselves, get good sleep, eat well, do this, do that. Yet sometimes we are even more sick than the people we're taking care of. Take off days if you need them. If you're sick, you're sick. Don't put your body and yourself through that unnecessary stress. That's the thing about nursing culture. These views are not representative of any organizations or institutions that I have previously been associated with or are presently associated with, or maybe may in the future might be associated with. These are my own personal views and opinions, okay? Just got to get that out there in case somebody wants to, do rubbish. Take off days if you need them. Nursing culture is very like, oh, if you take a sick day, you're abandoning your coworkers. Oh, you're supposed to be part of the team. When you don't show up, you put the team at risk. Bruh, if you're sick, you're sick. Nursing is the only field that I know pulls that rubbish, and it's guilt tripping. That's really all it is. It's guilt tripping because these institutions, these organizations, these hospitals, these companies, they do not want to put the funding into adequate staffing. That's the real tea right there. I'm getting worked up. I'm very passionate about this okay, when you have enough staff, right, to take care of patients at the level of acuity that they're at, the research is out there. The research shows it. Nurse satisfaction goes up. Patient satisfaction goes up. Patient outcomes improve. Everything is better when you're adequately staffed. So when you're not adequately staffed, everything just falls apart. You have overworked, stressed out, often underpaid nurses, patients whose needs are not being met because the nurses are stretched too thin. And a lot of patients don't realize this. They don't realize that their nurse has like 3 or 4 other patients to deal with. And they're like, why aren't you paying attention to me? Hello? Is anyone out there? Hello? Yo, your nurse might be dealing with someone who just all of a sudden decided to become hypotensive. Or your nurse might be dealing with someone who all of a sudden went into cardiac arrest. You never know. And it sucks to say that because as a patient, when you're ill, you want someone to take care of you. You want to feel as if your needs are being met. But when a department doesn't have the staffing to be able to meet everyone's needs, things get really, really crazy. I just went on a whole entire rant. But again, as I was saying, if you're sick, you're sick. You have to do what's best for your body, because guess what? If anything happens to you, what is the hospital going to do? They are going to replace you. Before you can even blink, they have replaced you. Your position has been filled. So take care of yourself, okay? Please take very good care of yourself. Get rest, eat well, exercise if you can, and don't overwork yourself. Please. I've noticed for quite some time now that a lot of nurses are the breadwinners, I think, in their households. And so everything falls upon them. And that's just, and my heart just breaks. That's just so much pressure on one person who already has an incredibly stressful job. And my heart goes out to all of you who are in that position. Because, man, I understand why you'll need to work 16 hours or work consecutively for 14, 15, 16, 17, 20 days in a row without a day off. I get it. But you cannot care for your family if you are ill. Just think about that. That's all I'm going to say. And, it's not easy. It's really not easy at all. This life. So yeah, that brings me to my next point, which is have a backup plan. Not everyone can handle working at the bedside as a nurse for a prolonged period of time without losing a bit of themselves or becoming incredibly resentful. And when I say resentment, I mean resentment in terms of nursing is such an underappreciated profession. I believe that is changing now, slowly but surely. However, it doesn't change the fact that so many nurses, as I mentioned, are overworked and underpaid. Have a backup plan. Your backup plan doesn't even have to have anything to do with nursing. It could be having a side business. It could be having a hobby that you can eventually make profitable for you. Or your backup plan could be getting your master's degree and going into, I don't know, higher level of management. Okay, the thing about management, I don't know if you guys know this. Management is one of those things where, have you guys ever seen a nurse manager who appears happy with their job? I'm just going to ask that question, and I want you guys to reply in the comments, because they have so much pressure coming from up above. Like, the pressure flows down, right? So the higher ups, executives and all that stuff, they put pressure on upper management. They put pressure on the the nurse managers, and they be looking stressed. But whatever that means for you in terms of having a backup plan, do it. Even if it is nurse management, do it. I feel like so many nurses either feel resentment or see other nurses who have obvious resentment regarding the work that they do. And it tends to come out as one of those nurses eating their young thing, or it comes out as this constant undertone of aggression. Your true experience comes when you start working in the field. And I know a lot of people say this, but it's really, they're not lying. It's true. You don't really get experienced until you're on your own. When you're on your own, I would hope that you are in a work environment that promotes teamwork and collaboration, where you would feel free asking for help from your colleagues or your CNAs or techs. I would say that nursing school does not prepare you enough psychologically for the mental and emotional toll that the profession takes on you. Even then, really, how could it? Because I can understand why. Like, you don't want to scare students away, but you also don't want to make them feel as if like it's all unicorns and butterflies when it really isn't. A lot of the psychological toll, it's heavy. It can get really heavy, especially depending on your setting, your clinical setting. I feel like labor and delivery nurses are probably the happiest nurses. I feel like they just seem so happy. They feel fulfilled. They're delivering babies and, helping to bring new life into the world. Granted, they do also experience tragedy because, you do have cases of fetal demise or maternal complications and, maternal death. Death in and of itself, nothing could have ever prepared me for that. Even till this day, there are no amount of like unsuccessful resuscitation cases or anything that could make me feel used to the feeling of that loss. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't even know how I did it. It could have only been God, because death is just so heavy. And when you're around that, it really, really takes a toll on you and it drains you. In one of the ERs that I worked in, there was a case where I don't think this is a HIPAA violation, because I'm not saying any names or anything that's identifiable. So yeah, there was a lady who had came in cardiac arrest. I want to say we worked on her like 20 to 30 minutes, but there's some cases where a cardiac arrest patient comes in and you can tell they've been down for a while. Like, by down, I mean they've been pulseless for a while. So this lady was one of those cases where it did not look like we were going to get her back, and truly we didn't. So the doctor used an ultrasound and showed cardiac activity to the family, because the family was at the bedside, and the doctor was like, yeah, I'm so sorry, but her heart is not, there's absolutely no activity in her heart. We've tried everything. We can't get her back. I'm so sorry. We're going to stop compressions now. And they pronounced the lady dead. And the daughter just went, oh my God. I can never get that picture out of my head. It's not even the screaming. It's the words that came out of her mouth. She started crying, and she was like, her and her mom had gotten into an argument, and things escalated, and her mom left the room or something like that. And then they found her down later on. And it's just like, she said, I didn't know she was gonna die. Whew. It really makes you rethink a lot of the things we take for granted. There's so many things that are so small, like in the grand scheme of things, that tomorrow is not promised. Anyone can be gone at any time. Like, I could never imagine getting into an argument with a loved one, and then, in the heat of the argument, we're like, oh, like, I'm upset with you. And then that's the last time you speak to them, or the last time that they're like, it's crazy. There are a lot of other cases like that. A lot of pediatric cases are always very, very hard. Oh my God. Let's get out of this, because no. I want to get out of this. Definitely make sure you have someone you can talk to and vent to. I remember asking a more experienced nurse. This is when I was fairly new to the ER, and we had just gotten done with a cardiac arrest resuscitation that was unsuccessful. I asked her, I said, when do you ever get used to this? Is there a point that you get used to this feeling? And she said, no, you never get used to it. When you get home, you fill your cup up with spending time with people you love and the things you love and the things you enjoy doing, so as to balance it out. If you are coming from a very stressful work environment and then going home to a stressful home environment, not long after that, you are going to be feeling like, this is way too much. Do not wait until you need a vacation to take a vacation. And I'm talking to myself when I say this too, because I have a habit of doing this. Don't wait until you're like, oh, I need a vacation before you finally take a vacation. Have certain times of the year where you either take mini breaks or long breaks, if you like, and take a vacation, see the world. Nursing is one of those fields that can get very overwhelming and cumbersome, and it's very easy to forget that there's a world outside that you need to experience, So yes, spend time with those you love, and take it easy on yourself. I'm talking to myself too when I say this. Take it easy on yourself, because you may not be able to see the damage that's being done to your body over time as you continue to undergo these same stressors and self-critiquing. But over time, the body will tell you what is going on. Trust me. It will give you the signs and the symptoms. So don't wait till that point. Take care of yourself. As much as possible, try to attain and maintain joy in your life. If you come to the realization that you're no longer happy with nursing, whether it is 5 months into nursing school or 5 years into your nursing career or 20 years into your nursing career, then find out what makes you happy. Life is too short to not do something that gives you fulfillment. And there is a lot of fulfillment in nursing. But if you feel that there are other ways that you can get that level of fulfillment, do them instead. Do not be afraid to stand up for yourself when it comes to patients. Because, there are those patients out there who want to slip in the B word or the N word or whatever other word they feel, because, I don't know, they're just angry and they want to take it out on you for whatever reason. How do I put this? I've noticed that a lot of healthcare systems don't really encourage nurses standing up for themselves when it comes to certain types of patients. It's crazy to me that a patient can walk in and they can be absolutely disgustingly rude to a healthcare worker, and everyone goes about it like, oh, sir, don't say that. Like it's a little slap on the wrist. No. And they continue to do it because boundaries are not set. So set boundaries with your patients. I have no issue telling my patient, excuse me, sir, I do not like the way you spoke to me there. That's very, very demeaning. And I cannot do my job effectively if my patient is choosing to be disrespectful towards me. It's like, I didn't spend 5 years trying to earn a bachelor's degree only for you to now be like, oh, you ugly black bee, or you effing N-word, or for someone to just be condescending and rude to me for just no reason and just be difficult anyhow for no reason. No, that's not what we're doing. Don't be afraid to stand your ground. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. You do not have to tolerate nonsense. It is not part of your job description to be a punching bag, whether physically or verbally. It is not part of your job description. And I hate when people are like, oh, it's just part of the job. No, people are getting stabbed and killed on the job, and you're gonna tell me that assault is part of the job? What? I've been punched. I've been spit at. It's not okay. Nurses go through too much already. Don't let anyone make you feel as if like, oh, you just have to take it in and just, hold it there and let it be eating you up inside. No. Fill out the necessary documents that need to be filled out in order to protect yourself in those instances. Fill out the necessary documents that need to be filled out in order to make sure that a patient is held accountable for their disrespect or their abuse towards you. So many nurses go through abuse, and I think we're just so accustomed to being like, okay, let me just. No, you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. I beg, you're somebody's daughter or somebody's son. Please. What kind of nonsense is that? Sorry. Okay. I get really passionate about this. And so little is done to protect healthcare employees. And I know it is changing in some healthcare systems, but it's not changing fast enough, especially with healthcare systems that, have nurses piling up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 patient assignments. Like, are you employing humans or are you employing robots? I'm not understanding. So anyways, that is it for this video. If I think of anything else, I will put it in the comment section, possibly. If you guys have any other suggestions as well, or things that you've encountered yourself, or just tips in general that you have for anyone who is new to nursing or about to graduate or has graduated or is new to the nursing workforce, be sure to leave it in the comment section down below. And let me know any crazy patient stories that you guys might have too, because those are always entertaining to read. So that is all for this video. I hope that you guys found this informative, useful, entertaining, whatever the case is. Thank you once again for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you in the next video, Lord willing. Stay blessed. Bye.